Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw results and some Ring of Honor results for the spoilers for the rest of this month. And also an interview with CM Punk from Busted Open Satellite Radio. Okay, hosted by Dave LaGreca, Doug Mortman, and Mike Riker. It airs on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on Sirius 92 and XM 208 from 2 to 4 Eastern Time. Check out Busted Open's live WrestleMania 29 Sunday show from noon to 4 Eastern Time on Sirius 92 and XM 208. Any comments on what drives them? I think I'm the angriest man in WWE. If I'm great to anybody, if I'm great at all in anything I do, I think it's because I'm so determined. I'm malcontent. I am never happy with what I am doing business-wise. I also want to be doing something else. I always want to be doing something more than not something else. I want what's next, what's more, what's bigger, what's better. On the heavy workload over the last year plus, I think I have a real problem with admitting if I'm burnt out or anything like that. That's just based on my work ethic. I don't ever admit when I'm hurt. And I don't think a lot of the great guys have, because the show is going to go on. Obviously, I'm miles away from where I was in the Indies, where if I didn't work, I didn't eat. And it's not a fact that I'm worried about losing my spot or anything like that. This is just all I know. Just go, go, go. That's just me. I put so much pressure on myself, so I think that it all kind of stems from that. Am I burnt out? Probably. It's difficult for me to even say that. Maybe I am. I'm working with Paul Heyman. He comments by saying, when they first put us together, I think a lot of people like, well, what's Paul going to do? Punk doesn't need anybody to talk for him. I think just being out there with Paul, and I think people see him and me interacting and see how much fun we're having. There have been so many inappropriate jokes I've made in the middle of live television shows to Paul when everybody else is worried about what's going on in the ring or hitting their cues or on other stuff. I'm just out there with my friend goofing off and having fun and getting paid for it. And I think a lot of the fans see that and it drives them crazy. It just pisses them off for some reason, so Paul adds that dynamic. Here's these two very unlikable characters, and they're like the best of friends. There's a very strange television dynamic going on there. He's having a blast. He tells me all the time he loves it. I'm glad I'm a part of it, and he's having so much fun as well. On whether his WrestleMania match lets him step back and say, I showed the naysayers, no, I can't. I'm worried about what's going on Monday. I'm worried about the pay-per-view after WrestleMania. I wonder what's going to happen at SummerSlam, so I never look back. I'm driven constantly by proving people wrong, but I never really stop to be like, this is cool. I'm sure that there's a few moments here and there will be on Sunday when I do that, but it's just hard for me to do that because I'm just go, go, go. And of course, this was done before WrestleMania. And he's talking about his title streak ending to a part-timer. I wasn't really a champion for 434 days. It's not like I really won it. We're all adults here. We all know that pro wrestling is predetermined. My only gripe is it's always interesting because I do so many of these interviews and my answers always change. And of course people will just print like, Punk's mad that Rock is part-time. Whatever. This is a business. The bottom line is dollars. But I can't help it that I have so much old school ingrained in me that the champ works every show. So it's 2013 and the business has completely changed, and I was just vocal about there not being a champ on 2 to 3 months worth of house shows. I think the title is an attraction. Title fights should end the card. I just have different philosophies on things. It's great The Rock is back. Anybody in the locker room that says it doesn't piss them off, that he works how many days a year he works, when we're working 300 days a year, something ridiculous, they're kidding themselves. They're scared to say, I appreciate Rock and everything he does. He puts more eyes on the product. That's awesome. Maybe at Royal Rumble and an Elimination Chamber for more people saw CM Punk for the first time. That's cool, but to me, Champ has a responsibility to the locker room. You've got to toe the line when you're the champ. He's not on every show. I'm not pissing vinegar crying about it. It's just a complete different opinion. Any comments on working with The Rock? I wasn't happy with those matches. Were they the best they possibly could have been? Yeah, I think so. But I never like anything I do. I also don't watch anything I do. You can't look back. I know when I do stuff that's good. I know when I do stuff that's bad. And I just kind of leave it at that. I don't know if it was built up to be this huge showdown, and I don't know if it's just fell short. I personally don't think they're bad, but maybe something a little bit missing. Maybe I'd change my mind if I actually bothered to go back and watch, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Any comments, Punk Taker? If Paul Bearer had not passed away, who knows? I don't know. I think a lot of people think it would have been anything, but it's The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It's the streak. It's the biggest thing in WWE. It's bigger than a title match. I'm confident we would have been okay. Any comments on the four-way match held for the right to face Taker at WrestleMania 29? And that's what got the storyline writer fired. I told him that that was a stupid idea, first of all. I could have called him out. There's different ways we could have had approached it. It felt really weird to me, and I didn't like it. But Vince McMahon approved it, so he had to do his job. Any comments on his excellent mic skills? I don't know. I think that's something you're born with. Everyone says it's the it factor. You either have it or you don't. I don't know if you can teach it. I don't know how to teach somebody how to get over in pro wrestling. I think that's something what's going to work. To me, it was just hard. It was just work hard. Always try to learn something. Listen to the guys who have been there before and take little bits and pieces from everybody else. But nobody was specific. Like, if you go out there and do this and go out there and do that, that's going to be CM Punk, and that's what's going to make people go bananas. I've always been that way, but when a little kid and getting beat up, I would still talk shit. Nothing could stop me from talking shit. Yeah, I was a little punk kid. That's how the name Punk came about. People didn't like the music I listened to. People didn't like my mohawk. I was a little brat. Unquote. On the pipe bomb promo. Any comments? People still don't get it. It's funny, too. Now that I'm a bad guy, there's a lot of people out there that when I was the hero, they're like, great, he's a great. That he said that and went out there and just did it. And now that I'm a bad guy, they're like, it was scripted and he's phony and he's bullshit. The true matter is that I went out there with a live microphone and said whatever the hell I wanted. But I'm a businessman and I wasn't about to burn my bridges. I wasn't about to go out there and just start swearing. And I went out there and aired my grievances. There was a bunch of junk that I wrote and that I handed to Vince. That he was like, okay, say that. And I said, none of that. I said whatever the hell I wanted because I was out the door. I was leaving. I was going home. So I didn't care. Legit, 100%. Look back on it. It really was like a magical time because the most powerful thing in the world is when somebody just doesn't give a fuck. And I didn't care that they were going to do. Where they were going to fire me, come on. I was going to Australia the next day. If they fired me, I didn't have to go to Australia the next day. That would have been fine with me, and I had no idea. I wasn't like, this is going to be great, and this is going to rejuvenate me and my career. No, I was just done. I didn't care. Okay, now he quotes on the attitude in the locker room changed after the promo. I don't know. There's always going to be a group of guys that I think are unhappy. I look at a guy right now like Dolph Ziggler, who to me is in exactly the same spot I was in 2009, 2010. And I see him kind of breaking out and saying a lot of the same stuff that I was saying. Everybody else, I'll use Rock as an example, is like, I love it. I love The Rock. He's back and it's great. And we're so happy. And then you ask Dolph that. Dolph will tell you the truth. Whereas maybe a year or two ago, Dolph would have probably toed the line and said that I think, honestly, the office is always looking for that. They're not looking for the same old, same old. You've got to rock the boat, and you've got to be an individual, and you've got to be yourself. If I change the attitude of the locker room, hopefully for the better, that's awesome. If I even gave just one guy a shot in the arm, a little bit of hope, somebody to look up to, awesome. But I'm not claiming to be like the locker room Gandhi or anything like that. I just kind of come to work every day and do my thing. And I do apologize for, I'm just reading what was in this report, word for word. He comments on a dream matchup for Punk. I never pictured Undertaker in this wild dream match. It was never my God, I really want to wrestle the Undertaker at WrestleMania. I think just based off the personalities, I think Steve Austin and Stone Cold would be the guy. As well as I know Steve, me and him were in the same room. Shit just happened. People recognize that. That's always that thing with me and Steve, where he's kind of poking me and I push back. I think of a lot of guys, Steve pokes at them and they're just like, yes sir. I think I was the first guy in forever that just pushed back, and I think he liked that. I'm not saying anything is ever going to happen. Steve's in a great place and he's happy and all for intents and purposes. He shouldn't ever wrestle again. If time and money and all that stuff weren't an issue, yeah, Steve Austin, I'd love to wrestle Harley Race. Would love to wrestle Pat Patterson in his prime. I can't talk forever about dream matches. As he ended the interview at that point. And now for your Ring of Honor TV taping. Spoilers for results for upcoming TV show tape WrestleMania weekend in New York City as well. April the 7th, 2013. At 9:02 in the morning. What a time to wake up and do some wrestling shows. Well, courtesy of PWPodrings.com, so it's basically not brief. I mean, it's very brief, not in detail. Well, Nigel McGuinness leads the faces of Ring of Honor to the ring. Nigel terms this the dawn of the new era. Honor has been restored. Honor lives. Nigel introduced the new Ring of Honor champion, Jay Briscoe, to a monster pop. Bobby Fish defeated Eddie Edwards in the first match. And match number 2, QT Marshall and Evans beat Alabama Attitude. Match number 3, which was your main event for the first week. Mark Briscoe defeated Mike Mondo, Caprice Coleman, Cedric Alexander, and BJ Whitmer in a 5-way scramble to become number 1 contender to the Ring of Honor title. Wow, so now you're going to have brother versus brother, I believe. Okay, yep. Episode number 2. Kevin Steen kicked things off. Steve Corino and Scum came out. Steen singled out Matt Hardy, saying he's the only Scum member he doesn't want a part of this. Scum attacked Steen. Hardy ended it with a twist of fate on Steen. Match number 1. Roger Stone defeated Mike Bennett, the Prodigy. Mike Mondo was also on commentary for that match. Match number 2. Jorge Santi fought Tadarius Thomas to a no contest when Scum interfered. And Rhino gored Santi. Scum got massive pops for that. Steve Corino came out and said we would never see Steen again. That brought out Nigel McGuinness. Jay Lethal and Mike Elgin came out to get rid of Scum. Elgin and Lethal versus 2 members of Scum. Per the match stipulations, if Scum wins, then Hardy gets a Ring of Honor title shot. Corino also wants to be at commentary every week. Corino said if Scum gets another title shot and fail, they will leave Ring of Honor. And Nigel McGuinness agreed to the stipulations. And then your main event for that week was Matt Taven defeating ACH to retain the Ring of Honor TV title. And now for our episode number 3, the 3rd week, Jimmy Jacobs, Cliff Compton, formerly of WWF, Deuce and Domino tag team, And Rhett Titus defeated Caprice Coleman, Cedric Alexander, and BJ Whitmer. Corino was on commentary for the match. Match number 2, Jay Lethal beat Rhett Titus. There was a contract signing for Cole versus Briscoe for the Border Wars pay-per-view. Scum interrupted the contract signing and set up a match. Match number 3, Adam Cole and Jay Briscoe defeated Matt Hardy and Rhino. Wow, what a tag team. Episode number 4. Well, that was your main event. Jay Briscoe and Adam Cole defeated Hardy and Rhino. Now, episode 4. Prince Nana was on commentary. Machine Gun Carl Anderson defeated Michael Elgin in the first match. Match number 2, Mischief defeated an unknown female by disqualification when Veda Scott interfered. Match number 3, Davey Richards defeated Kyle O'Reilly. While Bobby Fish was on commentary, Eddie Edwards was also at ringside, and Richard got the win. And that concluded the month of TV tapings for Ring of Honor. Now for WWE news, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson suffered a torn abdominal and abductor muscles and suffered a hernia as well during the WrestleMania 29 main event match against John Cena. According to the WWE Raw broadcast team, it was also noted that Rock was treated by a University of Miami physician, Lee Kaplan, on Monday, earlier today. So he wasn't on Raw as their reason. The announcer stated during Raw that Rock suffered these injuries with roughly 15 minutes remaining in the WrestleMania main event. He is scheduled to film the movie Hercules soon. He initially wasn't advertised for Extreme Rules as well. So, stay tuned if he is going to. Or will they will they also put a hold on his movie filming? And the Brahma Bull logo has been stripped off the WWE title belt today as Cena gave a few belts away on the morning shows that he was on. There's like 3 to 5 different shows. Even my mother was watching some of the morning shows and watched some of them. I think that's the first time she actually watched any kind of the morning TV shows concerning the wrestling world. And WWE take the following matches tonight in East Rutherford, New Jersey to air on Superstars. Usos versus Primo and Epico. Great Khali versus Darren Young. And here's the results for that. Thanks to Zach Zimmerman and readers Brian Kaufman and Agazi, who attended the Raw show in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and sent the following updates. On the WWE Superstars taping, the Usos defeated Primo and Epico. Great Khali defeated Darren Young. And big pop for the primetime players and boos for when Khali won the match. And Raw starts from East Rutherford, New Jersey at the Izod Center. Michael Cole, JBL, Jerry Lawler opened the show and discussed WrestleMania 29. And they narrated still shots during the first hour or two of Raw. And during the last hour, they didn't do many pictures of it all. And they narrated the shots and Cena beating The Rock and gaining the respect that The Rock showed him. Justin Roberts announced to the live crowd that The Rock would not appear due to severely strained abdominal muscle strain. Cena's music played and was greeted by major boos. He wore a white shirt that read, "The champ is here," with an arrow pointing down at the title belt. Didn't a former wrestler named Rick Rude do the same thing, but he put it on his tights, which now has Cena-inspired side plates instead of the Brahma Bull logo. Cena paused to soak up the boos while smiling the entire time. Cena said it should be every superstar's dream to go to main event WrestleMania. He said that winning the match comes with the adulation, the respect, and the cheers, even the boos. He paused after each example and let the crowd taunt him. He said he was going to stop right there because he and the fans have known one another for 10 years. Cena then said the fans seem a little angry, maybe a little more than angry. He said, "This is the WWE Raw after WrestleMania." Cena said that they have a very volatile crowd and maybe he would do a championship dance. He did just that for a moment and did a leg kick too. It was greeted by a loud "No chance." He did a heel turn, and there were some cheers and some laughs from the announcers. Ric Flair's "To Be the Man" line was quoted. Cena said two titans clashed and the champion rose. So I'll proudly say to you, the champ is here, he said. Cena said that this is exactly what he wanted for a WrestleMania celebration. He said he's not going to rest up and draw balloons for the season. He is starting off the next round road to WrestleMania with a match for the WWE Championship. And my prediction was exactly what they did on Raw, because I was actually commenting on Wade Barrett's Facebook account as to some of my predictions. And they actually used it, because it was like 2 or 3 hours before Raw even started tonight, as they were looking, as he even stated that they were looking for storylines to use. And so what? They used it. And my suspicion is triple threat at the next pay-per-view. And I'm not the only one who said that, as somebody said on Ringside News the same thing. Okay. Cena said he didn't know who the number one contender is. He mentioned Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton, and CM Punk's names. Cena was stopped in his tracks by Mark Henry's entrance music. Cena sold it by looking a bit surprised. Henry made his entrance and said that the problem with asking for trouble is that trouble may just find you. And Mark Henry was one of my picks, but it won't make any sense if he does win, because he will be stripped because of the fact that he's only got like maybe 2 months left before he retires. And my other pick was Ryback. Well, stay tuned, because you might see my prediction come true. But we'll leave it at that. Did he turn heel or did he not? Well, Henry pointed out that Cena won his match at WrestleMania. The fans chanted sexual chocolate. Cena said that it's a raucous crowd that wants to have sex with chocolate. Henry said he destroyed Ryback. The crowd booed and then chanted, "Feed me more." Cena then said that they wanted to have sex with chocolate and eat s'mores. Cena said that he could see the look in Henry's eyes, and he was afraid. "I'm afraid to tell you that you have the breath of 1,000 asses." As Cena said, he followed up by saying that they would have a match for the WWE Championship tonight. Well, Booker T's music played, and he headed to the ring and said that he can't have Cena making WWE Championship matches because he's not the Booker. Well, Booker said that The Rock is entitled to a rematch, and the fans booed. "Once in a lifetime, best out of 3, as Cena said. Booker said Rock is the number one contender for the WWE Championship. "I'm with you guys. I beat him last night," as Cena said. Booker said Rock suffered an injury and would not be at Raw tonight. Booker told Henry he would give him a title shot, but he would have to earn it. Booker said that if Henry could beat Cena in the middle of the ring, he would get his shot. Henry stepped forward and Booker stood between them. And Henry said Cena told jokes and has all the fans laughing, but he's not. Henry said all the jokes would get Cena entered into the Hall of Pain. They told him to bring his A game. Well, Coleslaw hyped Alberto Del Rio versus Jack Swagger and Zelv Coulter in a handicap match for later on in the evening, and Big E Langston in his in-ring Raw debut as they cut to commercial. The crowd doesn't like Cena, and they clearly resent the fact that Rock isn't there, and some are probably just plain down on him. There was no disrespect of Rock, but it wasn't like Cena spent a lot of time raving about him and the match either. Cena clowned it up with a tough crowd. I got a kick out of that, but I didn't care for him being so comedic when Badass Henry was in the ring. Still shots ahead from WrestleMania for the next segment. Commercial. After the commercial break, in other words, the set was absolutely spectacular. Match number 1, Daniel Bryan with Kane versus Big E Langston for his debut, with Dolph Ziggler and AJ in his corner. Bryan charged at Langston, who responded with a one-arm slam, who charged into Daniel Bryan with a big shoulder block in the corner. There was a loud Daniel Bryan chant. Bryan came back with a series of kicks. Bryan went to the top rope, but AJ distracted the ref, and Ziggler pulled Dolph down. Kane grabbed Dolph by the throat. Bryan crashed into Kane, and the announcers said Langston threw Bryan. It was a bad camera view, but they showed the replay after Langston won the match with the big ending. And big ending kind of looks like the bookend to me, or the STO. Big E Langston defeated Daniel Bryan in 2 minutes 20 seconds. At ringside, Josh Matthews interviewed Kurt Warner about his reality show, The Moment. And following Raw, the entire show was shown, as it said, a sneak preview. He spoke about John Cena getting a second chance against The Rock, and he said the show is all about that. Lawler played it up big by saying it was one of the most impressive Raw debuts that they've ever seen. JBL reminded viewers that Langston being a former world champion, it was good, but Lawler said it laid it on pretty thick. Langston entered to Dolph's music. If they want to establish him as his own man, they really need to come up with his own theme. Meanwhile, it's a good thing for Warner and his show that comments were not heard by the live crowd. Match number 2, The Miz versus Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental title. Coleslaw said Barrett was using the rematch clause. There were loud "Let's go Barrett" chants. Barrett was in control of the match and performed a neckbreaker off the ring apron, heading into a break. It looked real nasty, and one of the two could have got seriously injured. And I think it could have been The Miz. After the break, Barrett performed an elbow drop off the ring apron onto Miz on the floor. Miz makes his comeback and was greeted with boos. He gets a rough-looking reality check. It appeared that Barrett took the bump early. Yes, he did. That was a botch. The announcer tried to cover up by saying Barrett got lucky as he slipped out of it. Later on, Miz applied the figure 4 leg lock. Barrett, who was bleeding a bit from the mouth, slowly back to the ropes and grabbed them to break the hold. The crowd cheered. Miz charged Barrett in the corner and ran into a boot. They ended up fighting for a position on the ropes. Barrett pulled Miz's head down and slammed him into the ring post. Knocks him out. Barrett set up for his finisher and blasted Miz with a bull hammer and got the win. And won the title back in 13-minute match. Hell yeah, Barrett wins a title that puts him back in the role of the designated jobber to the stars. Hey, I hope not, but it's hard to care about that title right now, really. Good effort from both men. It was much better than the WrestleMania pre-show match. And then we get a backstage segment with Vicky Guerrero and Brad Maddox. As they were talking, we couldn't hear a word they were saying when Sheamus entered the room and complained about Big Show punching him out. Sheamus said he wants Show in a match. Maddox said that if they give him a match, they don't want him to forget that he owes them one. Sheamus said that he just wants to kick the head off of the giant piece of crap. Vicky gave him the match, but she gave him a match, but didn't say it was with him. And then she and Maddox, they acted like they just pulled one over on him as he left the room. And they showed more still shots from WrestleMania were shown. Backstage, Randy Orton congratulated Booker T on his Hall of Fame induction, and he even said he wants a match with Big Show. Booker even said Vicky already gave the show a match to Sheamus. Orton said, if anyone can overrule Vicky, it's Booker, who then agreed and made the match. Well, during that segment, Randy Orton even asked about Booker's Hall of Fame ring. Well, that's nice. My dad's got one too. Why this happened? Because it reminded me of how odd it was for Booker to interrupt the Henry and Cena segment to stop their match from happening. He's a SmackDown guy, even if Henry is a SmackDown guy, is he? Why would Booker have anything to say over the WWE Championship? The authority figure situation is an even bigger mess than usual. Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter made their entrance for their handicap match. Coulter cuts a promo as they walk to the ring. He said the country is on the verge of tyranny and anarchy. He asked the crowd to cheer USA, Del Rio, and some fans chanted USA as they go to commercial. WrestleMania 30 in New Orleans video played after commercial break. A Did You Know graphic also boasted about WrestleMania celebrity involvement. A video recapping the opening segment with Henry and Cena. Number 3, Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez, who comes out with no car. And Jack Swagger ends up Coulter in a handicap match. Del Rio jumped out to a fast start while working with Swagger while Coulter stood in the corner. We want Ziggler a chance. Del Rio took a shot at Coulter, which gave Swagger a chance to hit him from behind. Swagger eventually knocked Del Rio to the floor, heading into a commercial break. After commercial break, Del Rio sold a leg injury. The crowd chanted for Ziggler. Lawler asked if they were calling for Coulter. Swagger applied the Patriot lock, but Del Rio rolled out of it and kicked Swagger, then applied cross-arm breaker and got the submission win. And the match took 11 minutes 15 seconds. After the match, Ricardo checked on Del Rio's injured leg. Trainers come out and checked on Del Rio as well as the referees. Dolph Ziggler entrance music played, and he cashes in on the Money in the Bank. And also, Big E Langston and AJ came out. Ziggler told the trainers to get out of the ring and then enforced the referee Scott Armstrong that he was cashing in his Money in the Bank contract. The announcement was made to the live crowd as they roared. And as my prediction, I knew it wasn't going to be at WrestleMania. It was going to be sometime this month. Dolph Ziggler versus Alberto Del Rio. Dolph hit an early famouser on Del Rio for a 2 count. Ziggler missed a splash in the corner, and Del Rio caught him with a kick. As the crowd booed, Del Rio covered Ziggler for a 2 count. And Del Rio applied the cross-arm breaker, but Ziggler grabbed his injured leg to break the hold, which was nothing more than an ankle lock. Ziggler hit the zigzag when he got up for the win. Winner and new champion, Dolph Ziggler. And the match only took 2 minutes and 5 seconds to win. A good 2 minutes of drama. Ziggler was a babyface in the eyes of the live crowd. I like the way that they teased the possibility of Del Rio winning the match rather than just having Ziggler dominate and get an immediate pin. That would have breathed some life into the WrestleMania 29 lineup, but at least it finally happened, and Del Rio wasn't just clicking. And the announcers hyped an Undertaker appearance for after the break. Undertaker's theme played, and the crowd stood for his entrance. The announcers spoke about Taker extending the streak to 21-0 as Clothesline Taker cemented the fact that he is the greatest performer in history of WrestleMania. Once the music stopped playing, the crowd applauded. Taker paused and listened to the crowd Undertaker chant. Taker said he dedicated his WrestleMania match to the memory of Paul Bearer. Just as he said that, the Shield's theme music interrupted. Taker and Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns entered through the crowd. The Shield members surrounded the ring as Taker stood his ground. Momentarily, Shield members climbed onto the ring apron. Kane's music played, and Kane and Daniel Bryan ran out and joined Taker in the ring. The Shield members hopped back over the guardrail and walked away. And this is another part of my video tag teams. I even tag team together Team Hell No with The Undertaker in their faction as well. As you will soon see, some of them videos come up. A 6-man tag. If I can get the members of the Shield on there, I will post that match on there for y'all's viewers' entertainment on my other YouTube account. Well, the announcers hyped Cena versus Mark Henry match as a main event. It was pretty cool when the Shield interrupted Taker, but it didn't go anywhere. It would be pretty cool if this led to a 6-man tag at Extreme Rules with Taker involved. If his schedule in recent years has been any indication, then we probably shouldn't get our hopes up too much. Additional still shots from WrestleMania 29 were shown. A recap of Dolph Ziggler winning the World Heavyweight title, narrated by the announcers. Backstage, Dolph Ziggler was telling AJ and Langston that he deserved this more than anyone. Josh Matthews popped out of nowhere and asked how it feels to be the new champion. Ziggler said he's been too damn good for too damn long. He said it's the day after, but this is his WrestleMania moment. He said he will take this title, shine it up, and show it off. Match number 5, R-Truth, Zack Ryder, and Santino Marella versus Heath Slater, Jinder Mahal, and Drew McIntyre. I think I took a nap during this little match because it got boring during Raw. Ryder got a favorable reaction when he got tagged in. Santino got a good reaction from the smart, heavy crowd for the Cobra. Really? He ended up hitting Slater with it for the win. R-Truth, Zack Ryder, and Santino Marella defeated 3MB in 3 minutes 25 seconds. I wonder what kind of tag team name you can call them. Truth or jobbers? Jobbers and truth? I don't know. Well, if TNA can come up with dirty heels, why not? Truth or jobbers? That sounds pretty good. Not as bad as it may have looked on paper. They kept things moving quickly, and I was only 98% certain that 3MB would lose the match. Coleslaw set up a video that showed WWE personalities making various mainstream media appearances, along with the highlights from WWE Access and other events. Backstage, Randy Orton and Sheamus bickered about which one of them would face Big Show. Sheamus was upset because Randy Orton went behind his back to get the match changed. Sheamus said he had this and stormed off. Orton looked like he was coming up with a new plan. Again, I'm still taking my nap. Orton got cocky and took a tag that was going to Big Show last night, and he goes behind Sheamus' back to get the match with Big Show tonight. The heel turn speculation continues. An interview with Big Show from the post-game show aired. Show said Sheamus and Orton turned on him. He said he tagged himself in and got aggressive and sacrificed himself with a spear. He said all he wanted was to get the tag so he could get it done, but Orton had to take his thunder. Show said no one will take his thunder ever again. I tried this route and I don't want any part of it, he said. There's only one thing in this world that's important to Big Show, and that's the Big Show. Well, Sheamus came to the ring and asked who wanted to see him kick Show's ass. He wasn't very popular with this crowd. Randy Orton's music played, and he headed to the ring while you were out here pleading his case and practically begging for support, as Orton said. Orton stopped, walked around the ring, and then approached Sheamus and clearly asked him what his line was. Orton backed away and said, "Show is his tonight." He asked the fans who wants to see him kick Show's ass. Announcers cut in and said the fans would decide by the tweet vote. Wow, Orton really lost his place and froze there. I assume he was supposed to say that while Sheamus was pleading with the fans. I was actually waking up during this little segment myself, so I didn't actually catch that. And he was backstage talking to one of the authority figures, which led to the fan vote. The announcers revealed that 77% of the fans voted for Orton to get the match with Show. Apparently, the authority figure said, "Screw the will of the fans," as Vicky and Booker came out and announced Sheamus versus Orton for the right to face Show. And the fans groaned. So we get Randy Orton versus Sheamus. The fans broke into ole, 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 ole. I guess that's how it goes. If you watch the Replacements movie, that's the song that they played. Especially when the skinny guy who was a kicker, soccer style, every time he came out to kick a field goal, well, that's what they played. As the song got underway, they amused themselves with a loud chant for Mike Chioda. Coleslaw said that there was a lot of the chants that we're normally here in London, where they will be 2 weeks from now. There was a loud RBD chant as well. There was a JBL chant as well. JBL was shown laughing and said, "These folks are brilliant." They followed up with a Jerry chant. In the ring, Sheamus went to the top rope, and Orton caught him with a drop kick. As they cut to commercial, wow, the fans were not into the idea of the two at the top of SmackDown babyfaces wrestling one another. They seemed to like Orton earlier as he dropped the ball during the promo, and the whole thing has been a mess ever since then. Raw is smarks. Orton and Sheamus traded punches after the break. Sheamus hits the Irish Curse for a 2 count. The crowd still amusing themselves with the wave. Sheamus watched away from the ring for a moment. He later hit his forearm to the chest, and fans chanted along with the count. There was a loud Randy Savage chant. Orton looked to the crowd, and the announcers were cracking up. An HBK chant was broke out. I don't think the crowd was even aware who was actually wrestling in the match. In the ring, Sheamus performed White Noise. HBK chant fired up again. Sheamus played to the crowd and set up for his brogue kick, only to have Orton move. Big Show's music played, and he came to the ring. Show ran Sheamus into the ring post. He entered the ring, and the fans chanted, "Thank you, Big Show." Show caught Orton with a knockout punch. Sheamus fought Randy Orton, and the fans won in 15 minutes 50 seconds. So I'm guessing that to a no contest or whatever. The show beating continued after the match and speared Orton on the floor. A holy shit chant broke out, and it was music by production. Show threw Orton over the announcer table and then threw one of the announcers' chairs and it hit the ropes, which got a big rise out of the fans. Orton sat up at ringside. The fans in the front row chanted his name in a super over the top moment. Now the official finish. It had to suck for Orton and Sheamus when they realized where this was going, and they knew that they had 15 minutes to fill. It's as if every fan in the building who owns a Ring of Honor tape or has purchased an independent show in iPay-per-view has converged upon the Izod Center. You know, Orton is fuming, but this was a freaking riot. Cole announced that Triple H will appear on Friday's SmackDown TV show after keeping his career alive at the pay-per-view. Let the speculation begin that Hunter knows the hardcore fans stick around for the Raw after Mania, and thus he saved his post-WrestleMania appearance for SmackDown. Cerebral indeed. A video package recapped The Undertaker, Kane, Daniel Bryan, and the Shield segment. I want to see those 6 guys get it on, JBL said. Someone will have fun with that JBL sound bite. The fate that he is calling for the match and that they are showing replays left me thinking that we may see it after all. Taker will be in London a couple of weeks for the tapings, and .NET reader Brian Kaufman, who was at Raw, noted that X-Pac is in a luxury box, and the fans chanted his name during commercial breaks. Match number 7, Fandango versus Kofi Kingston on his Raw debut. Finally, the fans sang Fandango's music in unison. That was hilarious. Yeah, I was wide awake for that. And I was thinking, well, are they turning him face? Well, briefly into the match, Chris Jericho ran in and attacked Fandango in the match before it really even got started. So Fandango defeated Kofi Kingston by disqualification in 1 minute and 25 seconds. Jericho threw Fandango over top rope and then into the timekeeper's area. Jericho took the fight back inside the ring and locked Jericho and locked the walls of Jericho in on Fandango. Fandango tapped out, and the referee tried to talk Jericho out of it. JBL said this is an old veteran teaching the rookie a lesson. He said he doesn't blame him. Jericho performed the code breaker on Fandango to end the segment. Jericho smiled and left the ring, and the fans went back to singing Fandango's music. Justin Roberts announced Fandango as the winner by disqualification. Fandango's dancer was in the ring to help him back up. While lying on the mat, Fandango corrected Roberts by saying his own name properly. And the fans sang again the song again. Jericho got his revenge for losing at WrestleMania, I assume. Excuse me. This sets up a rematch, and the crowd has completely hijacked the show at this point. Will there be a copycat crowd, or is this just isolated to the night after WrestleMania? Got to scroll down on my notes here. The announcer spoke about the Triple H and Brock Lesnar match and showed footage of Hunter getting checked out by medical staff after WrestleMania. Backstage segment with Josh Matthews interviewed Paul Heyman. The crowd cheered. Josh said it wasn't a good night for Paul Heyman, guys. Heyman said ignorance is still bliss in New Jersey. He said Lesnar was knocked out cold 90 seconds into the match, yet it still took Triple H 23 minutes to survive. Heyman said Lesnar is ready for a fight tonight. However, he won't let his client fight for free. He turned the focus to the Undertaker versus CM Punk match. He said Punk should tell everyone how he feels, and he will do that next week on Raw. Heyman did nothing to play to the fans and worked to turn them against him. Ring entrances for the mixed tag match that was supposedly be held at WrestleMania took place. Cole announced that the switch and said the match would be coming next on Raw. Brodus Clay, Sweet Tea, Cameron and Naomi, the Tons of Funk team versus Rhodes Scholars team with the Bellas. Tensai wore a singlet with the same colors as Clay's. That's their new ring gear. Kind of reminded me of DDP's ring gear. Lawler laughed his ass off during the Sweet Tea's offense and dancing and said it looked like he was wrestling himself, like in a Ric Flair match. In the end, Clay and T hit their finisher on Sandow for the win. Tons of Funk, Cameron, and Naomi defeated Rose Scholars in 2 minutes 25 seconds. Well, as Coleslaw was sitting at the announcer table, dancing like a jackass to Clay's music while sitting at the announcer table, he said fans chanted his name and he trended on Twitter, so it's a good night for him. He set up the commercial for the moment. Something tells me the mixed tag match would not have saved WrestleMania. The announcers are dicking around more about the crowd at this point. They've totally lost control. Lawler was laughing at T, and it wasn't even funny. It took Coleslaw so long to win over the fans. The last thing he should be doing is acting like a tool again. Oh, and USA is gaga over the moment. Yet they couldn't produce another season of Tough Enough. WrestleMania 9, more still photos were shown. Ring entrances for the main event took place. John Cena versus Mark Henry in a non-title match. Henry gets a title shot if he wins the match. The crowd continued with Fandango humming. Cena played into it by dancing for a few seconds. That was very funny. The announcer said that The Rock went to the University of Miami where a physician determined that The Rock tore his abdominal and abductor muscles and suffered a hernia during a WrestleMania main event with roughly 15 minutes in the match. Damn. Henry took control of the match and brought Cena to ringside where he rammed his back into the ring post. He tried to do it again, but Cena reversed it and sent Henry crashing into the ring steps. Cena got back in the ring as Henry was counted out. Well, this match didn't take long at all. John Cena defeated Mark Henry by countout. Cena threw Henry into the ring steps, and that was it. Henry loses. But Henry returned to the ring and clotheslined Cena after the bell rang, then performed a World's Strongest Slam. Henry picks up the title belt, holds it over his head. Momentarily, Ryback's music played and he charged to the ring and beat up Mark Henry. The crowd was still chanting other things when Ryback got the bulk of the fans to chant "Feed Me More," as he was also doing the "Feed Me More." Ryback looked down at Cena, and the crowd cheered. Momentarily, Ryback then offered his hand to pick up, and the fans booed. Cena went to the ropes and played to the crowd. Ryback led another "Feed Me More" chant as Cena climbed down from posing with the belt. Suddenly, Ryback hits the meat hook clothesline on Cena and then picks him up and performs a shell shock on him for the heel turn as the crowd roared. Ryback picked up the title belt and then held it over his head, and the fans chanted "Feed Me More" to close out Raw. As he Mark Henry's doing, is Ryback a heel now? The crowd didn't seem to think so, but the babyface announcers were doing the "Why, Ryback, why" routine. He did the same thing Henry did by holding up the title belt over his head, so it's possible they are working to a triple threat match at the pay-per-view, as well as I predicted. As much as I enjoy Henry's act, Ryback facing Cena feels bigger coming out of WrestleMania. It was a good ending to a totally bizarre show. Well, what happened after all? Well, off the air, John Cena got on the mic and put over the crowd. Cena then laid the belt out in the ring and said that this was for us. Cena got a massive pop, and Cena said they usually play music to end the show, but tonight we were the music. As the crowd starts singing again, as Cena leaves the ring, the whole crowd starts singing Fandango's theme. Fandango's music hit, and the crowd went nuts. The show closed with one final "We Are Awesome" chant. And that concludes my Raw video for tonight, or for this week actually. Thanks again, and peace out. Sorry I didn't get much into that. Half of my picture in is my. I have to do an angle where I can see an extended computer screen because mine is you might say halfly cracked, halfly can see. Well, anyway, thanks for viewing, and peace out again. Thanks again. God bless.